Hello, glad you can join us. Here's what we have for you this Monday. Thousands of travel plans up in the air.
A little bit nervous, but I'm hoping everything will be okay.
Why some may have to buckle up for holiday turbulence.
Too often, they face barriers, delays, and uncertainty.
A hopeful prescription for Canada's doctor shortage.
Prestige films and box office hits, those are not mutually exclusive.
Plus, the Canadian stars in contention for Hollywood hardware.
CTV National News with Sandy Ronaldo.
Get ready to see Air Transat grounded, with pilots primed to walk off the job as early as Wednesday morning after the union issued a 3-day strike notice. The airline says that flights are still operating as planned. CTV senior correspondent Heather Wright on the last-minute negotiations to avoid travel turbulence. Heather.
And Sandy, we're told those talks between the airline and the union representing about 700 pilots are ongoing as Air Transat tries to avert a strike as the busy holiday travel season gets underway.
Travelers at Toronto's Pearson Airport checked into their flights this afternoon with an added bit of uncertainty.
A little bit nervous, but I'm hoping everything will be okay and we'll be home next Monday.
The union representing Air Transat's pilots has issued a 72-hour strike notice, with pilots poised to walk off the job early Wednesday morning if an agreement is not reached.
I mean, it is what it is. It's not really much we can do about it.
In anticipation of a strike, Air Transat has begun bringing its passengers back home. The airline says flights have been operating as usual today, but it's not clear whether flights will be canceled Tuesday, which the airline had said was possible. The two sides have been in negotiations for nearly a year, and experts say the timing of this strike notice is no accident.
They're doing this because this is the period of time where Transat is making its most money. It's the busiest time of the year for Transat. Planes are full, fares are high.
The two sides remain at the bargaining table, with ALPA, the Airline Pilots Association that represents the 700 Air Transat pilots, saying in a statement, while some progress has been made, there is still work to do. We are working tirelessly to reach an agreement that achieves the collective priorities of our group. Air Transat says it has offered its pilots wage increases of 59% over the next 5 years, a number the union has called creative accounting. The union's demands are considered unreasonable, and its premature actions carry serious consequences for customers, the company, and its 4,300 other employees. Air Transat has struggled financially over the last several years and has not turned an annual profit since 2018.
When asked last week if the federal government would intervene if Air Transat pilots hit the picket line, Jobs Minister Patty Hajdu declined to answer, calling it a hypothetical question. Ottawa did get involved when Air Canada flight attendants went on strike in August. A back-to-work order the union ignored. Sandy.
All right, Heather, thank you. Now, as Heather said, the airline is promising to try and get all planes and people back before a strike begins. But what should you do if you have booked upcoming flights with Air Transat? CTV's Quebec Bureau Chief Geneviève Beauchemin has tips for travelers. Hey, Geneviève.
Yes, Andy, passenger rights advocates say right now, before the strike begins, before flights are canceled, travelers have to be careful not to take action that could let the carrier off the hook.
Travelers scheduled to take off aboard Air Transat are now trying to plan their next move.
I want my granddaughter to meet all my friends and, the people of Cuba.
Marlene Galliott's first trip to Cuba with her 9-month-old granddaughter is now up in the air. Her bags are packed, filled with gifts for friends, and she has a ticket to fly out Saturday.
I don't know, should I cancel my hotel? Should we cancel the flight? Should we rebook? I have no clue.
In most cases, the best move for now, says air transport rights advocate Gabor Lukacs, is not to make a move at all.
For now, it's a bit of a game of a chicken. Until you actually get a cancellation notice, don't do anything other than planning. Have ideas for plan B.
A refundable ticket with another airline may be an option. But once passengers cancel their own flights, the airline could legally be off the hook for any potential compensation. Air Transat has sent notices like this one to some passengers abroad, moving up the return flight home from a vacation. But passengers need to know from Air Transat whether this is their only option.
You should not have to cut your holiday or vacation short because Air Transat may be going on strike. And what Air Transat is doing is somewhat of a scare tactic. scaring people that they may get stranded abroad.
Galliot has traveled to Cuba several times before and hopes to soak in the sunshine again soon. But she says all the turbulence in air travel is taking its toll.
We love traveling, but now we have to think twice before we even buy a ticket to travel.
And another piece of advice from advocates is for passengers to record any conversation with the carrier. Sandy.
Good advice. All right, CTV's Genevieve Beauchemin. Now, Canada's immigration minister today said, quote, "It is all about more hands on deck," as she introduced a new express entry category for foreign-trained doctors desperately needed to address frontline shortages. CTV senior political correspondent Mike Couture now on the changes and the criteria for admission. Mike.
Well, Sandy, nearly 6 million Canadians do not have a primary care doctor. While the numbers have improved in the last 3 years, the government is trying to keep more physicians in this country.
We need more hands on deck.
In an effort to bolster the number of doctors in this country, the federal government is opening a new system to fast-track permanent residency for doctors who are working in Canada.
Many of these doctors are already treating patients in our communities. We cannot afford to lose them.
The program creates an express entry category for international doctors with at least 1 year Canadian experience in an eligible occupation. The federal government is reserving 5,000 spots for provincially nominated doctors. And those healthcare workers will get expedited 14-day work permit processing. The measures come as a major national survey shows more Canadians have a family doctor or nurse practitioner compared to 3 years ago. 5.9 million Canadians still don't have primary care. But those that do struggle with getting a timely or urgent appointment.
Less than 50% reported being able to get that. So we still have a long way to go in terms of providing timely care and care when people need it, even for those who do have a family doctor.
A past president of the Canadian Medical Association also wants to see logistical barriers moved out of the way.
I want to make sure that we're getting rid of any red tape, any barriers to having physicians moving around the country to help where needs are greatest, for physicians who are coming in from other countries to be able to contribute to the system.
The immigration minister says provinces and territories will be able to start nominating physicians for the Express Entry program in early 2026. Sandy?
All right, Mike, thank you for this. A disturbing picture today of not just the stressful working conditions that nurses face, but the violence they encounter on the job. Across the country, at least 6 out of 10 nurses experienced aggressive behavior at least once last year. CTV's Alison Bamford in Saskatoon details the issues confronting staff and the potential solutions. Hey, Alison.
Sandy, inside the hospital behind me, nurses say they've been threatened with knives, guns, needles, even an inert hand grenade. And just yesterday, staff had to seize a weapon from a patient. These nurses face threats of violence daily, often verbal, but they say the frequency and severity of incidents involving weapons is increasing, and the hospital is losing nurses who are too scared to go to work. The breaking point for some came late last month when a psychiatric patient brought a sawed-off shotgun and 3 concealed knives into St. Paul's Hospital. A nurse described the incident in an anonymous letter written to the union, saying the patient used a knife to stab a window and threatened to sexually assault and kill one of the staff. It's prompting more registered nurses to speak out, calling for metal detectors and increased security. At a press conference this morning held by Saskatchewan's official opposition, one RN said she sees co-workers crying every day due to the unsafe working conditions.
Nobody goes to work to risk their personal safety, and nobody should have to be asked to risk their personal safety. And so that's been the hardest part of it all.
Melissa McGilvery says she's thought about quitting, and one of her co-workers has since taken leave due to that November incident. The health authority says it's piloting weapons detectors at another Saskatoon hospital, which could lead to more technology placed in city ERs in the future. Sandy?
All right, CTV's Alison Bamford. Toronto's hate crimes unit is investigating a menacing act against mainly Jewish seniors living in a building in the city's north end. Some 20 mezuzahs, or prayer scrolls, were pried from the doorposts of their apartments.
It's a horribly frightening experience for these elderly seniors who are living in this building, and another instance of horrific anti-Semitism in our city. Jewish citizens and these seniors are being intimidated.
Volunteers are helping to replace the mezuzahs, which symbolize Jewish identity and protection for the home. A big crackdown on organized crime revealed today after a multi-police force investigation in Ontario and Quebec into a string of brazen crimes. 13 people have been arrested. CTV's Beth McDonnell in Aurora, north of Toronto, delves into what's being called Project Wrangler.
Frightened on the floor during a bank robbery, these are just some of the hundreds of victims York Regional Police say were caught up in a terrifying crime spree.
These acts were brazen, they were brutal, and they're completely unacceptable.
Officers allege that for close to a year, from April 2024 to March 2025, a criminal organization was responsible for 16 violent incidents, mostly in southern and eastern Ontario. They range from home invasions, jewelry and cell phone robberies across the GTA, as well as various shootings, including the homicide of a man in Rimouski, Quebec, one inside Silverthorne Collegiate Institute in Etobicoke, and another at London's Victoria Hospital.
Multiple rounds were fired in a public space at the doors of an emergency room while patients, families, hospital staff, and paramedics were only meters away.
Beginning in April, police from multiple agencies banded together to carry out Project Wrangler. By identifying patterns and sharing information over 9 months, they executed 6 search warrants and made 13 arrests, 4 of them boys under the age of 18.
This was not a traditional street gang, but rather a coalition of adult men from different groups and locations who would align themselves for profit-motivated violence.
Police allege the group was motivated by financial gain and say the men also exploited and recruited minors to carry out violence and crime.
It's probably the most disturbing component of this when you're investigating it. You're seeing very impressionable, vulnerable youth being groomed to join this group. Money is a big factor. They're offering them money.
In all, police seized 4 firearms and laid more than 150 charges. Police say members making up the upper echelons of the organization have also been caught. Beth McDonnell, CTV News.
And some frightening moments for a young married couple in Calgary, attacked by 2 suspects in their own home under the pretense of buying a laptop that was posted on Facebook Marketplace. While things went south when one of the men pepper sprayed and attacked the husband. The bad guys escaped with the laptop, leaving the homeowner slightly shaken up. Well, it is not officially winter yet, but don't tell that to folks living in the Maritimes. Today, a direct hit, an Alberta clipper bringing blowing snow and gusty winds. Thousands are without power as the storm thrashes the region. CTV's Paul Hollingsworth braved the bitter outdoors to share the state of affairs. Hey, Paul.
Sandy, this was a big storm with a big impact across a broad geographic area. Winter weather has arrived in the Maritimes with a blanket of snow and high winds covering all 3 provinces.
I like it. It's Christmassy.
CTV meteorologist Kaylin Mitchell says this storm was brought on by an Alberta clipper, which whipped across Canada.
It's a fast-moving low-pressure system that usually develops on the Alberta side of the Rocky Mountains, and then it speeds its way across the country.
Late Sunday night, early Monday morning, the system picked up strength over the North Atlantic and turned into a full-blown snowstorm.
Roughly between 5 and 15 centimeters of snow through parts of the southwest of New Brunswick.
Many areas in PEI received up to 10 centimeters with high winds. In Nova Scotia, Cape Breton was hit the heaviest with more than 15 centimeters, with schools and municipal offices closed. Mainland Nova Scotia was not spared.
Between 8 and 18 centimeters of snow. Close towards the Atlantic coastline of Nova Scotia, it was like a few to several centimeters.
But enough to create slick roads, dangerous driving conditions, and numerous delays and cancellations at Halifax Stanfield International Airport.
First and foremost, we want people to check the status of their flight before coming to the airport. So
check that directly with your airline.
The storm also caused cancellations of the ferry crossings between PEI and Nova Scotia and the ferry from Cape Breton to Newfoundland and Labrador. This is the second time in as many weeks that weather has caused ferry cancellations. Sandy.
All right, Paul in Halifax. Thanks, Paul. Coming up later, the Canadian trying to duplicate game show history.
And if our champion, Ron Lalonde, looks familiar to you, that's not just deja vu. You're thinking of his identical twin brother, Ray, who was also a Jeopardy champion.
A unique case of double jeopardy. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer welcomed Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to London today, along with the leaders of France and Germany, for talks focusing on security, air defense, and funding for the war effort.
Will you give up any territory to Russia?
The discussion over ceding land comes as Russia gains more territory and Ukrainian cities sustain strikes to the energy grid. The U.S. offered up a revised peace plan with Ukrainian officials on Saturday. The country's European allies have backed Zelensky's attempts to improve the terms. Security camera footage captures villagers reacting after an explosion near the disputed border between Thailand and Cambodia, part of a new wave of fighting. Thousands have fled the area, with both sides accusing the other of launching strikes just months after agreeing to a ceasefire. And Canadian aerospace giant Bombardier unveiled what it is calling the world's fastest business jet today. The Global 8000 aircraft is a high-speed luxury plane with a range of nearly 15,000 kilometers. The company revealed the new aircraft at an event at Toronto's Pearson Airport. CTV's Omar Sachedina spoke to the company's CEO about the launch and the potential of working with Swedish company Saab on a new fighter jet, along with the pledge of thousands of jobs.
I think when they say 10,000, they probably also look at the whole maintenance after and support and service. You know, the reality is those planes will be built. You know, we'll need X thousands of people probably to build it with the supply chain.
The Gripen is one possible option to replace Canada's aging fighter jets. And you can see more of that exclusive interview tonight on CTV National News with Omar Sachedina. Still ahead, Canada's golden moment. The Canadian talent up for a coveted Golden Globe Award.
Couldn't hit the notes, the words kept catching in my throat.
A dramatic twist just days after Netflix announced it had reached a deal to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery for more than $72 billion US. Well, now Paramount Skydance has swooped in with a hostile takeover bid for WBD. That's the company behind DC Studios, Harry Potter, and HBO Max. Paramount says it's going straight to shareholders with an offer of $30 US per share. The Netflix deal is valued at just under $28 per share. However, the Paramount bid would also include Warner Brothers cable TV assets like CNN, which the Netflix deal does not. Paramount criticized the streaming giant's offer, saying it exposes shareholders to a long approval process with an uncertain outcome. Well, this year's Hollywood Awards season is underway with the announcement of the 2026 Golden Globe Awards, and several Canadians are up for prizes. Korean-Canadian director Maggie Kang has earned a nomination for Best Animated Feature. She directed Netflix's massively successful K-pop Demon Hunters and is up against Toronto's Domi Shi, who co-directed Disney's animated adventure Elio. Vancouver's Seth Rogen earned 3 Golden Globe nods for his popular Apple TV series, The Studio.
Prestige films and box office hits, those are not mutually exclusive. We can do both and we will do both.
Nominated for Best TV Series, Comedy, or Musical, and Seth is up for Best Actor in a TV Musical or Comedy against fellow comedian and Canadian Martin Short, who is nominated for his Disney Plus show Only Murders in the Building. Now, this is the Hamilton-born Short's 5th nomination in a row for that category. And Short's former SCTV co-star, as well as one of Seth Rogen's current co-stars, Toronto's Catherine O'Hara, scored a nomination for Best Supporting Actress on TV, also for The Studio. Other big nominations to highlight, one battle after another led all films with 9 nominations. The beloved TV series The White Lotus received 6 nominations. And Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson gets his first Golden Globe nod for his lead role in the drama The Smashing Machine. After the break, a Canadian daily double. The twin aiming to mirror his brother's successful run on Jeopardy. Countless Canadians have appeared on the long-running TV game show Jeopardy, but now viewers might think they're seeing double because 2 years ago, Thunder Bay's Ray Lalonde triumphed in the game of trivia, and now his identical twin Ron will duke it out to defend his title. CTV's John Venavali-Rao has the answer to the burning question, who has the real Jeopardy talent in that family?
Incredible, just incredible.
We asked Ray Lalonde what it was like when he was first on Jeopardy back in 2023 and had a remarkable winning streak.
I won 13 games in a row.
It was something only about a dozen contestants had ever done in the 60-year history of the game. And now Ray and his brother making more Jeopardy history.
Honestly, it's a little surreal.
A medical physicist from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Ron Lalonde.
Surreal because that is Ray's twin who's been on the show this month.
And if our champion, Ron Lalonde, looks familiar to you, that's not just deja vu. You're thinking of his identical twin brother, Ray, who was also a Jeopardy champion.
The pair were raised in Thunder Bay and came from a family of 7 kids. Ron says they grew up watching Jeopardy long before Alex Trebek was the host.
My mother's a huge fan, and so we watched that pretty much every night in the old Art Fleming days back in the 70s.
The brothers have an amazing ability to remember trivia, and when Ray got on the show, Ron decided to keep trying himself to be a contestant.
And having the same kind of mind, I figured I'd do pretty well as well, so wanted to have that chance.
In the family.
Host Ken Jennings joking that Ron could in fact be Ray trying to get back on the show.
Is there a way to prove that you are not, in fact, Ray Lalonde, inventing a twin just to get a second crack at Jeopardy?
He's here.
He's here today. Hi, Ray.
Ray says it's been fun to see his brother compete.
My friends are calling me up going, I can't believe, I almost thought that was you on TV again.
And while twins have been on Jeopardy before, Ron and Ray are the first to both win multiple games. And they say they have siblings that are even smarter.
Ron.
What a rocking chairs.
That's right.
Encouraging them to also try out for the show. John Venavali-Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
We'll watch for them too. Thank you for sharing your time with us this Monday. I'm Sandy Ronaldo. Bye for now. See you tomorrow, we hope. Take care.